Hi, thanks for joining us here at American Rive Ace Hardware. I'm Danny, and today we're going to troubleshoot a no start on a Traeger. It's a Pro 34, very common thing. It's going to end up being a hot rod. So let's get in there and find out how to verify or get a good idea that it is in fact that. So on a no start situation, whereas when you turn your grill on, and it doesn't rise above ambient temperature, and you don't see any smoke, it's either going to be an auger jam, it'll be the hot rod. In this case, there was no smoke, so it got in there, and that's what you end up with. A new hot rod needed, because this is full pellets, which means it's not igniting. Another situation where you'll find the burn pot full of pellets like that with a no start is it hasn't been cleaned and you did a lot of cooks with it. Ash is built up over the hot rod point to where it can't ignite. So that is a possible situation. Or if your GFI is tripping and your controller is just turning off or it won't turn on anymore, there's a fuse inside there that the hot rods come with, because it's very common when these burn out to take that fuse with it. And so behind this controller is a little green box with a fuse, which we'll get to here in a moment. And it should come with a replacement already attached, but if it has already been used or it's just not there, a new hot rod from Traeger does come with the correct fuse for it. So what we'll be doing is simply that, and going through issues that can come up while doing it, and to make it an easier process for you to do it. Because I've fought it different ways before, and there's certainly an easy way to go through it. One more step, it makes it, shaves off quite a bit of time and frustration. So let's get to it. So you don't want to hear this, but we're going to vacuum out this burn pot with the loudest shop vac in history. And don't do that when the fire pot is hot, because your shop vac will start smoking and you have to go to a hose bib and start sucking up water to put it out. Not that I've ever done it. The older generation of the grills will have these 1/4-inch drive screws on them. The newer ones have wing nuts on them, and if you need a replacement burn pot, it'll come with the wing nut screws, and it's your choice to use whichever you prefer. I actually prefer these. They fit on these impact drivers perfectly. And I can just pop them out real quick. Again, power is disconnected from the unit. And this burn pot is not hot. If this is hot, wait till it cools down and do it the next day. So after I take these screws out, one thing you have to do is pop this away from the hopper. So you need to get it off that tube. So this one should be fairly easy because it's a little fresher. So you have to pop that off. Sometimes you really have to hammer on those to pop them off. Now the igniter is down there, so we have to take that igniter and go around that barrel that goes all the way down. And sometimes that's just trickery. There we go. Now it's a little tight in there, so we're gonna go to the back and disconnect the electrical. So right now what I'm gonna do is take the induction fan off, and again it is the 4 1/4-inch screws. The fan will just drop down, but it gives you a lot of access to get the power cord from the hot rod back into the side of the extension housing, whatever you want. hot rod wire is going to be attached to this purple lead right here. I'm going to pop that off. And you might have to cut the zip ties. It does come with replacement zip ties. So we're going to do that yet. Just be real careful cutting zip ties so you don't cut the wire itself. Cut the zip ties. And we freed up this hot rod wire. You can see this little port it has to go through right here. And now with this fan gone, you have a lot of access just to be able to pop the new one back in right here. With this fan there, you gotta, it just doesn't work out very well. So now that we've freed up the wire for the hot rod, this will slide right out. And there's your hot rod. Now, there's a Phillips screw on the bottom here. On these older ones, I end up having to replace the burn pot with the hot rod very often. It's pretty inexpensive, a new burn pot, and especially if you have holes larger than these 3/8 guys, then it's affecting your air and you'll lose temperature. As far as your high temperatures, you'll lose your max temp capabilities if these holes are bigger than they're supposed to be. We carry them, many dealers should carry them, and sometimes these little Phillips will break off, and when this head breaks off, just replace both. It's not going to be worth your time to drill it out, try to get that out and retap it. I had to do it when I didn't have burn pots, and now I have burn pots. So I keep burn pots because of that reason. So let's see how this guy comes out. For replacing these sometimes very rusted Phillips screws that don't want to come out of their home, impact driver is a very good option because of the hammering it does. You can keep pressure on it, and just the vibration a lot of times will help break it free. Like I said, this one is isn't very old, so it shouldn't be an issue. And this grill's only about a year old. They get much worse. They get much worse as they go. So if that didn't work out for you, we have this. A replacement burn pot. And at that point, you just put your new hot rod in the burn pot. It'll come with a 832 Phillips screw. And then that, you can just replace both and not even be concerned and just throw your old one away. Sometimes that's your only option. Now when setting it back in this case we're going to be using the original because it's in really good shape. So if you want this one, I'll give you this one for 20% off. Just come ask me. So that screw just needs to come out enough to not be interfering with the replacement hot rod. So now that we have our replacement hot rod, we're going to send it in. And this part is very crucial. On the AC models, non-Wi-Fi models, you only wanted about 1/8 of an inch out or just a hair over, because otherwise they will fail within, they could fail in 6 months. If they're too far in there, they'll kind of melt by themselves. All right, now we got some tension on that, so it's not going anywhere. And the instructions will tell you 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch for that probe coming out. And at this point, you can vacuum the ash that's falling through the holes in here if you want. This one has about 45 minutes of runtime on it, so there's not much to do there. Feed the wire in. Just reverse how you took it out. Sometimes you really gotta pop them in there. Now with our screw and our washer, and set these back in there, but you don't want to tighten them because then that last one will never go in. You just get them started. All these corners here. All right, now that we're set there, clean up the wires and get it back to smoking some meat. So now the wire from the hot rod comes through. There's a hole right on the side here that you want to feed it through. And be sure to pull all the slack out of this trough inside so it doesn't get mixed up in the fan. And then run it back the way it was. Plug it in. And now we gotta put the fan back on. Set that orientation there. Those all tightened up. We're going to clean up these wires. So you'll notice there's the induction fan obviously here. You want to make sure it's clear of all wires. But you'll also see this other little, it's actually an inspection fan for the auger. And so this fan will be spinning the whole time the auger is actually turning. And if this fan gets stopped by a wire, it will stop the auger from rotating. So things you gotta check on. Or if you turn it on after you do a job like this and you hear a brrr, rapid sound, that's wires hitting the fan blade. And everyone does it, so don't feel bad. I like using these bigger ones just because you can pull the end of it without it being so tight, and having a little place to work gives you a big area. First one on. Make sure there's no wires going anywhere they don't need to go. Now with that cinched up, trim off the ends. The whole grill's empty right now, some pellets back in it. We're going to prime the auger. And so the not recommended way that works is on a 22 series, one handful. On a 34, two relatively small handfuls inside this burn pot. And then put it all back together. And turn it on. I'm gonna go ahead and set it to high. And get it up to temp, verify no wires are hitting anything, and then we're good to go. Thank you. Thanks for hanging with us through this. I really hope it helped you. If you have any more questions, feel free to call the store or myself, American Rive Ace Hardware. My card has my cell phone number on it. It's 916-261-1305, and I'll love to help you through something. I've probably seen about everything that can go wrong with these, and pretty high success rate, so we'll get you fixed. If you want to see more of these videos and cooking videos, please hit the subscribe button above and hang out with me doing this, or come down on a Saturday and let's talk barbecue. Thank you.